And away we go. It is the nightcap right here on BearcatJournal.com, brought to you as always by our good friends at Galactic Fried Chicken. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get you some delivery. Or do like our good friend Keith did. Make your way down to Galactic to get some tendies, some fries. He said it was excellent and it is on his list for repeat business when he moves back to Cincinnati in August. So there you go. How can you go wrong? How can you go wrong with that?
Were you surprised he went no sauce though? I know he went rub.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own, who's got their own style.
Fair enough. Just haven't seen it done before.
Here's the thing, though. Has anybody ever given Galactic a bad review?
No, not that I've heard.
Not that I've never heard anybody like. I think I had one person be like, I'm not a big fried chicken person. Well, if you're not a big fried chicken person,
yeah, then that makes total sense.
Right? Like, okay.
I still need to check out that sandwich.
I want to know how somebody's not a fried chicken person.
I can't answer that for you. You eat it every day, so
I eat it every day. Look at me. All right, so we do. I'm out on the road. I will. You'll be gone tomorrow for baseball, right? And I'll be traveling.
No, I did end up going. Some things came up that not really able to go. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, we'll see when I get. I'm driving all day tomorrow.
I'll be around.
So I don't know if we'll have a nightcap tomorrow night. I've got to drive, and then I'm supposed to do a family thing when I get home. If I get home in time, it looks like I'm going to be driving through storms all day, all the way through North Carolina and Tennessee and Kentucky. So that's going to be great. If I get home and we do a nightcap, we do a nightcap. If not, Sunday we'll go over and recap kind of the happenings of the weekend on the basketball AAU trail. But we take requests. We're like a 90s DJ on this show, and somebody had a request for us. So they wanted us to talk about Bovada releasing odds on realignment. And I know you are a regular conspiracy theorist. You actually own a tinfoil hat.
For sure.
So I am not able to really read these from the laptop in the hotel. So you set the stage and let everybody know what we're looking at here.
All right. So what we have is a tweet from Eric Crawford regarding the Bovada official odds for Big Ten and SEC invites. For the Big Ten, you have Notre Dame plus 150, Oregon plus 150, Washington plus 600, Kansas plus 1400, which is so weird. No one takes just a basketball school. Cincinnati plus 1500. Then moving on to the SEC, you have Clemson at plus 250, Miami at plus 325, Florida State at plus 250, Louisville plus 500, Baylor plus 500, Oklahoma State plus 600, Cincinnati at plus 750.
I don't agree with a lot of these.
No, because the ACC's contract continuously, as more people look into the GOR, you would have games that would either not be televised at all, or you'd still be losing money until 2034. And it would be, it looks like it's because it's so vague in the way that they worded things. It's only 3 pages, Chad.
We have talked about that. The other thing I would say is if North Carolina is getting odds in the Big Ten, how are they not getting odds in the SEC? That's North Carolina and Virginia are the 2 markets in the South, the 2 states in the South that the SEC doesn't have a presence. Like, I don't understand a lot of these odds, which makes me almost instantly dismiss them. But you have theories, so I will allow you to espouse your theories.
So we've talked a little bit about who the puppet masters are in all of this, right? And the puppet masters are
ESPN and Fox.
ESPN and Fox.
Correct.
And all of a sudden, if you are talking about Cincinnati potentially joining either the Big Ten or the SEC, It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. The same reason that we've all talked about for years and years and years. Ohio State is going to try and put their foot down, because why would you invite Big Ten recruiting in Ohio from Cincinnati? It will never be the same recruiting. It will always be Ohio State. It is a much more ballyhooed school than Cincinnati. The history is far deeper. The blue blood, you cannot change.
Are we playing 10 hat theory like for this episode? Like everything?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Okay. Can I give my tinfoil hat on what you just said?
Yes, go ahead.
Would the SEC want to allow, or would the Big Ten and Ohio State want to allow the SEC into Ohio? Or would they be proactive and say,
that's entirely where my theories are based. That's where I was going with my next thought. So the SEC, if they really wanted to give a big FU to Ohio State, who is predominantly the one school that continuously makes the playoff push, if they really wanted to
Oklahoma.
I mean, sure. But Oklahoma's going to be in the
SEC.
Right. Oklahoma will be in the SEC.
Right.
So if you wanted to open the SEC recruiting footprint to Ohio, if you wanted to open up the television audience to SEC football in Ohio and open that market up.
And this is why the Cincinnati odds are so low when it comes to the SEC, is because of this line of thinking. I'm just going the next step.
Okay.
The next step is, would Ohio State say, you know what? Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. We would be better off having Cincinnati in the Big Ten than allowing
the SEC to start recruiting Ohio,
to get their foot into Ohio to really make life difficult for us. Because while, yes, Ohio State recruits nationally, they also take like 7 of the top 5 to 7 of the top 7 to 10 kids in Ohio every year. And would that necessarily be the case if all of a sudden, Alabama and Auburn and Florida and LSU could all say, well, we're going to be playing at Cincinnati every year, 2 years, or every 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is.
Right.
You're going to get a home game in Cincinnati. It's your stay here in the SEC. I think it's just like we've all talked about what could be interesting about the SEC looking at Cincinnati and Ohio. What's the next step? Maybe Ohio State saying, come here. You come with us. You're never really going to be, you'll be a pest with those top 5 to 7 guys.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still going to win.
Right.
Those battles far more often than we lose.
More often than not, absolutely. I think it's also of note that Cincinnati is the only school mentioned on both of these lists in the top 7. Now, Oklahoma State is also mentioned on both of these lists, but they're the only school mentioned on both of these lists.
That is... But I just made the point, like, if we're really doing this and North Carolina's on the Big Ten list, they're absolutely on the SEC list.
Sure. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's weird that Vegas always has their hooks in everything. And I take a little more on this than I take on people trying to drive clicks on Twitter.
That's fair. And
I don't know. I think that there's something to... There's a little bit more smoke to this than I see on, MHVER or whatever, the dude from West Virginia who's tweeting out anything and everything that he can possibly think of to try and drive his interactions. I'm sick and tired of seeing him on my timeline. I don't follow him. I don't want him there anymore. He's about to get just muted.
But I mean, if you're not interacting and you don't want to see him, just block him, and that way he'll never show up on your timeline.
Yeah, we're almost at that point. But it's I don't know. I think that all of this is of note that Cincinnati, oddly enough, because I don't know what the ramifications would be for leaving the Big 12 agreement that's currently in place before you're officially in, I would think the buyout would be a little easier potentially. But this is fascinating.
You've clearly not signed a grant of rights. You're not even, to the point where you're going to get a full share.
Right.
So that would be interesting. Yeah.
But again, it's strange to me that they're the only school mentioned on both. And I think that there's, again, just more smoke to this than anything that I've seen in the last roughly week and a half, 2 weeks since everything broke with USC, UCLA.
Let's also keep in mind, Vegas is not in the futures business. They are in the making money business.
Yes.
And this is put out because they think they can get somebody to bet and that they can make money off of those bets.
Sure.
Not a prediction. The odds are not a ranking of what's most likely. It is a ranking of it's a ranking in order of what can we get people to bet on.
Now it does say must accept invitation in 2022 for action. If no listed team accepts an invitation, all wagers will be settled. No action.
So a fairly low risk proposition here, because what happened? Well, I mean, I guess you could say like we saw Texas, Oklahoma, and then the Big 12 stuff happened in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So if the reaction to USC and UCLA is anything like that, then it will happen here in 2022.
Yeah.
I'm talking through it. I'm just,
Yeah, no, I get you. Like I said, it's
Brandon Bunch of Numbers requested that we talk about this, so I'm honoring the request that we talk about it. So I'm just exploring the options. I'm talking through the process here. That's all.
So if it were up to you,
out
of curiosity, and you had invitations from both, and you are President Pinto.
Oh boy. Invitations from both.
Wanting to play armchair quarterback right here.
I haven't really thought this entirely through. Either
way, you're getting a boatload of money. Like, I mean, going from $7 million to Big Ten 100. Or SEC money. Like,
wow. I don't think it's so weird because Cincinnati culturally is not the Big Ten, and Cincinnati culturally is not the SEC. Like it is its own halfway point in between both of those cultures. I think I would go Big Ten.
Reason being?
I just think, as we've seen with Kentucky forever, and we're starting to see even like with a Missouri, a Midwest team competing against these programs in the South is damn near impossible because you just don't have access to the athletes that in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and LSU. I think it's why Ohio State, like that was the talking point for like 7 years was Ohio State couldn't play in a bowl game against the SEC because the SEC, for the most part, just ran them out of the building.
You know what that feels like.
I think I would rather take my chances that Cincinnati would assimilate themselves into the Big Ten at the line of scrimmage more than I would take my chances of doing that same thing in the SEC at the line of scrimmage.
So for me, I would have the same answer. I would also say Big Ten, but for different reasons.
Okay.
As you see the conference realignment and everything start to shift in college football, I think there's an opportunity, a far better opportunity for better rivalries with Michigan State, Ohio State. Indiana. I think that there's certainly.
I think that's short-sighted. Kentucky, Tennessee. Like there's an opportunity for some damn good rivalries from where Cincinnati, Aaron, as crazy it is to think about, like Georgia is closer than Cincinnati's closest rivalry over the past 8 years.
That's insane.
Right. Like
that is
Georgia is closer to Cincinnati than Memphis. And Memphis and Temple are about equidistant. So yeah, I mean, like, you'd have the Vols, you'd have Vandy, you'd have those trips to Knoxville and Nashville
those are fun. Those are fun cities to be in. I get it.
And they're 4 hours. They're close.
Yeah. Well,
Kentucky's
the other thing that I would say is I think it would be far easier to become a middle of the pack to one of the teams being talked about in the Big Ten than it would be in the SEC.
Well, that's one of the things I touched on. Like, I just climbing that ladder in the SEC, ooh, buddy, and doing it. It's not that you can't do it. It's doing it every year, doing it with regularity,
right,
and not having those gaps where, like, you build up, then you have that 1 year, and then you build up, and you have that 1 year, and then and especially in a world where, like, divisions are going by the wayside in college sports. So it's not like you're going to get to be Kentucky, who has had the advantage of being in a division that was down over the past 4 or 5 years. Florida wasn't good. Georgia's been, outside of this year, Georgia's been good but not great. Tennessee has been awful. Vandy stinks. South Carolina stinks. Like, there was an opportunity there because of the division for Kentucky to rise up.
Right.
Man, if the SEC goes no divisions and it's just a big glob of SEC teams, good luck, man. Good luck being good consistently if you're not one of the big dogs.
I just wonder how many of those games would even be played at home stadiums, as our Alabama seems to find their way into 2 or 3 every year anyway, where you're playing at a neutral site as opposed to
the only game that's really neutral site is Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville, right?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
the world's largest cocktail party is that? No, that's a different.
That one's in Jacksonville. Yeah.
That's the only one that I think that is neutral, other than like Oklahoma, Texas.
You'll see like an opening game for the season played at a neutral site sometimes.
Not a conference game.
No, not a conference.
Played out of conference games at neutral sites.
Yeah.
I'm talking about conference games.
I still wouldn't surprise me though, just to try and get, especially if they wanted to try.
How much money you lose if you don't play your conference game at home, because then you're losing a home conference game. Those are multi-million. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. Like with $100 million payday, maybe nobody gives a shit.
Until they put Cincinnati in there and they're like, we're not going to Nippert and 40,000 and potentially lose a game to the crazy fans in a 40,000 person stadium when we can try and go to a neutral site. Like,
yeah, but if you're Cincinnati, you just say, come get some.
Like, we good, fam. Come on.
You invited us. We're here. This is our home. Are you coming to our home?
I hope.
In your home.
I hope and pray that people are stingy with their tickets, regardless of where Cincinnati ends up when all the dust settles.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope it doesn't become a seller's market where people are buying, where people are buying season tickets with the intent, like Notre Dame fans. This is what got Notre Dame in trouble with the Cincinnati game.
Oh.
They buy season tickets with the intention of going to the 1 or 2 biggest games. Everybody sells the tickets for the other games. And then, oops, you got popped.
Little did they know that was going to be the biggest game of the season.
Right. So, all right.
Thanks for entertaining me. I don't have anything else, but that was.
You wanted to do this. It was presented, like I said, it was presented on Twitter. You wanted to do this one. I allowed it. There you have it. None of that is my thoughts on what's going to happen. This was fantasy land. Just like this show always is. It's the Nightcap. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. Galactic Fried Chicken is the sponsor. Brought to you by BearcatJournal.com.
Sit!